Okay, hey, thanks. Welcome back. Chapter 8 is where we're at now in the Gospel of Matthew. I'm reading from the English Standard Version. When he came down from the mountain, great crowds followed him. And behold, a leper came to him and knelt before him, saying, Lord, if you will, you can make me clean. And Jesus stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, I will be clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Jesus said to him, see that you say nothing to anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded for a proof to them. I want to make a couple of comments about this. For one thing, leprosy in that day and time pretty much meant any type of a skin disease, an eczema, a rash. It could also definitely mean leprosy because that was common. And according to Jewish law, if you had leprosy, you could not get around people. You had to go outside the city, and you had to stay in wilderness places. If anyone came near you, you had to start shouting to warn them, I'm a leper, so they could get away from you. You had to stay away. So one of the things that's interesting that happened is in the middle of this giant multitude, here comes this leprous man. He's breaking the law, and he would be subject, by the way, to being stoned to death as punishment for Jewish law, violating that law. A lot of people would be terrified of seeing this. I can imagine they begin to shriek away, maybe pull away from him. I think it is also interesting to note that according to Jewish law, you do not touch a leper. And the very thing that Jesus did was reach out his hand and physically touch this leper. So this is a violation of Jewish law. It's breaking of all the traditions. It's scary, it's frightening, it's way out of the ordinary, it's radical, it's not something anybody does. Everyone would be saying, this is nuts, you're crazy, don't do this. But Jesus didn't worry about that, did he? So he reached over and he touched this man, and this man was immediately cleansed. Jesus then tells this man, I need you to go to Jerusalem and show yourself to the priest. Because according to Jewish law, if your leprosy healed up, you then had to go to the temple, you had to present yourself to the priest. There was a whole 7-day ceremony of going through to verify that you really were healed. And at the end of 7 days, you would offer sacrifices and make thanksgiving to God. And then it was proven and you were pronounced clean and you could rejoin your life. That's what Jesus tells this man to do. So I need you to go back to Jerusalem and you need to show yourself to the priest to do everything that the law does as a proof to them. I think that's very fascinating because somewhere along the line, the question is going to get asked, how did you get clean? And this man is going to say, Jesus did that. So I think that's a beautiful statement right there. All right, picking up in verse 5. When he entered Capernaum, a centurion came forward to him, appealing to him, Lord, my servant is lying paralyzed at home, suffering terribly. And he said to him, I will come and heal him. But the centurion replied, Lord, I'm not worthy to have you come under my roof, but only say the word and my servant will be healed. For I too am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. And I say to one, go, and he goes, to another, come, and he comes, and to my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard this, he marveled, and he said to those who followed him, truly I tell you, with no one in Israel have I found such a faith. And I tell you, many will come from the east and the west, and recline at table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. And while the sons of the kingdom will be thrown into the outer darkness, in that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And to the centurion Jesus said, you go, and let it be done for you as you have believed. And the servant was healed at that very moment. I think it's pretty fascinating, by the way. This is a centurion. This is a Roman centurion. This is not a Jew. Roman centurions who came to believe in the God of Israel were referred to as God-fearers. That's the way they were identified. They would not go through the full ritual of being circumcised. They would not actually become full-fledged Jews, but they would worship the God of Israel, and that's probably what the centurion was. He'd also heard about Jesus and his healing ministry, and so he comes to Jesus and he says the most interesting thing, you don't even have to come to my house. You just speak the word because I understand authority. Jesus was actually marveling at that. And literally in the Greek, it basically means it's the kind of astonishment that causes your mouth to fall open. You just, oh, wow. That's an amazing picture. Jesus says, even my own people, the Jews, don't believe like that. So here's this man that really understands what's going on, and that servant was healed.